Charles Barkley is answering the phone now. ESPN, Disney, NBC, Amazon, trying to see what they can work out. He says he's got 1 year to think about what he's going to do. I don't think Charles Barkley is done. I think he was looking at this $210 million as part of his retirement. Now that he's not getting the full amount, possibly, they're still working things out. Maybe he gets partial, maybe he doesn't get anything. But he becomes a free agent. A sports analyst becoming a free agent. This got to be in the record books. Now he's a hot topic. ESPN, Disney, NBC, Amazon. One of these networks are looking to get him back in the sports analyst seat. And Charles Barkley is answering the phones. We're going to get into the article. We got even an interview with him with Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show. Charles Barkley talking about it, and it's an impelling interview. Charles Barkley, he's crazy, man. That's a funny guy. Funny guy, interesting. That's what made Charles Barkley great all these years, being a sports analyst on TNT. You don't know what you're going to get from him. The guy will spill anything out of his mouth at any given time. Great for sound bites. But all in all, TNT, long time me tuning in, watching it throughout, me playing basketball even way back in the day when it was just Ernie, Kenny, and Chuck, even before Shaq even got there. So they've been running for a long time, back when I was jumping and shooting jump shots. So you know that was back in the day. Whether it's ESPN or it's Disney, whether it's NBC, whether it's Amazon, I think we're going to have Charles Barkley sitting in that seat talking basketball. Good or bad, it's up to you if you like the guy. He's all right with me, but some of his takes, you kind of got to, question a little bit on his stance on a lot of things. But entertaining, he's always been entertaining, and you don't know what he's going to say out of his mouth. So we're going to get into the article. We're going to get into the clip, actually, on this interview with him and Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show. And shouts out to the USA Olympic teams all over the events, trying to bring home gold. Been tuning in a little bit on that, and it's been exciting. Basketball team has beat Serbia, so they got to keep that train moving and keep it rolling. Kevin Durant was back. It was good to see him out there showing what he can do. We always knew he could hit jump shots, and he was doing just that. So we're going to take a look at that later on. But Kevin Durant is back, and he put on a performance for USA. But let's get into this interview with Charles Barkley and Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show. Charles Barkley, man. I don't know if you want to call him Charles Barkley or Chuck Reynolds with these glasses on. Man looks like, what's that guy's name? Looks like Geechee Dan off an old school classic, Uptown Saturday Night. Oh, Charles, man. But let's get into this interview, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Has somebody spoken to Amazon?
I have spoken to all three networks.
So you spoke to Amazon?
I have spoke to all three networks.
So you spoke to Amazon?
I have spoke to all three networks, Dan, who got the NBA going forward.
I know Amazon is where you can go.
Let me say this. I have spoken for the last 3 months. I've spoken to all the networks.
That doesn't sound like somebody who's going to retire.
Well, Dan, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen. I mean, first of all, I'd be stupid not to take their call. But the beauty of this situation, I don't have to make any decision for a year, Dan. But I told all three networks, hey, I'm honored, I'm flattered that y'all want to talk to me. But let's see what happens in a year. So that's the great thing about it from my perspective. I don't have to make any decisions for a year. But like I say, my intention, I'm not trying to play hardball. I'm not trying to get attention. My intention right now is to retire. Like I say, Ernie would never go to another network. I have not talked to Kenny and Shaq, but I have listened to everybody. And like I say, I got a year, Dan. I ain't got to worry about this.
Seems like Charles is confused. First he's retiring, Now he's taking phone calls. I think that money is really, I mean, we're talking about a millionaire. That just lets you know you never can have enough money. We're talking about a millionaire. Said he was going to retire. That 10-year contract for $210 million, man, he was really counting on that for this retirement. That was part of the retirement plan. No doubt about it. This man is thinking about continuing, which is not bad. But that's just to show you. You don't have that money in the bag. Might have to go back out there and do some labor as a millionaire. Unbelievable. But he's confused.
All this stuff is just noise for a year, to be honest with you.
Okay, would you go someplace without Ernie or without, let's say, Shaq and Kenny? Let's say Ernie is not leaving, staying TNT Atlanta. Would you, on your own, go to another network to be part of their NBA broadcast?
I'm not frozen. I'm thinking.
Oh, that's not good.
That's a great question, Dan. I don't know how to answer that.
Talk about confusion. I still can't get over those sunglasses. Well, let's get into this article real quick. TNT Sports analyst Charles Barkley said he would listen to NBA partners ESPN, Disney, NBC, and Amazon if the remainder of his current 10-year contract with the cable network is not honored. TNT Sports lost out on the NBA in the league's recently announced 11-year, $76 billion rights agreement. My deal is 10 years, $210 million. TNT Sports has to come to me ASAP, and they have to guarantee my whole thing, or they can offer me a pay cut, which there is no chance of that happening, and I'll be a free agent. My thing was, wait, y'all effed up. I didn't F up. Why do I have to take a pay cut? Serious business. During the NBA Finals, with a known possibility that TNT Sports might lose its media rights, Barkley said he would retire if he found himself out of a job. He still has 7 years remaining on his deal. Barkley has been part of TNT Sports' flagship Inside the NBA show since 2000 and is part of a primary 4-man crew along with host Ernie Johnson and fellow former NBA players Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal. Tricky situation. All in all, would I mind if Charles Barkley came back this season with another network, being a sports analyst for NBA basketball? No, I wouldn't mind. Like I said, he's entertaining. No doubt about it. But you can tell that when he said he was going to retirement, he had all this money in mind.